All right, we're live. Welcome to Friday afternoon. Welcome to Talking Investing. I'm Tom. I'm here with George.
I'm George.
And tough week. Tough day, anyway. So we're going to talk about the market. We're going to talk about Bitcoin. And I want to go through some of these big earnings reports because it was 4 monster earnings reports this week. Things did not go very well, and it was more guidance than it was the actual earnings. So there were some train wrecks this week. And Bitcoin wasn't a train wreck, but it definitely didn't do its thing. Hey, Alex. Hey, Eric. Hey, Jeff. Welcome. Welcome aboard. Yeah, I know. We can all share the misery. That's what's happening. Oh, there we go. This is the.
I still feel like it's not done.
The misery's not done.
The misery is not done.
Well, you've been standing strong on your prediction that we're gonna hit 29,000 for Bitcoin.
And
Hey, Rob.
I guess I guess I can't back off now, huh?
Oh, Jury, you're Bitcore. I think you told me that before. I keep forgetting that.
He's what?
On the Discord.
Oh, I got you.
Well, welcome to the live stream.
I've been watching a movie on the rise of Bitcoin, and it's an interesting story. I think that what people forget is how new Bitcoin actually is, and how it's still the most unbelievable thing that to have something that's not backed by any government and is only backed by people that believe in something that isn't, government related is amazing.
Yeah, it's a totally new concept. I mean, it was when it came out. What was it, 2012,
The movie
13? Oh, I'm thinking Bitcoin's hasn't been around that long.
According to this, it was 1990.
Well, that is incorrect.
No, it actually is correct. Yeah, it's actually very correct.
That is.
You want to know why? It
what?
was a
2009.
It was a what is that called? A concept that the first Bitcoin was created with this. It was.
You mean the
like
first cryptocurrency, not Bitcoin?
Right, the first cryptocurrency. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
You're going to the first blockchain technology. How about that?
Yeah, that makes more sense. But I know, yeah, I mean, Bitcoin itself it looks like 2009 was the beginning, but it sounds like people were brainstorming cryptocurrency concept prior to that.
This is in the 90s, yeah. An interesting thing was Snowden was in on Zcash. Did you hear about that? That was the big news that just came out.
I did not read an article. I saw a headline about that, and I didn't click through and read anything about it, so I don't know. I can't verify that. Alex,
I don't know if he verified it either.
What, the person who?
No, Snowden.
Oh. Oh, he's neither confirmed. 0.6. The Dow 2.77. The Nasdaq was down over 4% today. That is an absolute train wreck. I can't remember the last time it was down over 4%. However, it was just down over 3% sometime in the last week, and it had an up day of over 3. So these swings are insane. The Russell was down 2.8. Oil's down, but it's up overall 104.
Is anybody in shock with this?
Silver is crashing.
Yeah, 22. Oh my goodness, it is crashing.
It's like, where's the money going? Because it's not going into any of these assets at all.
Yeah.
Everything's
It's just
going down.
everybody's scared and cash is on the sideline.
Yeah, there's got to be massive cash on the sideline because all of these, every single index, this is the second week in a row that everything is down. And forget the Bitcoin miners.
And I mean, do you think the GNP was the reason why that this really happened? I mean, with that -1%.
I mean, that didn't help.
Contraction.
But the market just looks for a reason to do what it wants to do, in my opinion. Barring, massive world circumstances can rock the market. But all of these, even, we're gonna get the announcement that the Fed's raising the rates, and the market will have a giant reaction. But everybody already knows that. So,
Hey,
well, hey, how are you doing?
It's crazy to think that. I mean, do you leave the market? I mean, these are real questions. Do you keep the positions and turn your account off and not look at it for a year? What do you do, Tom?
I mean, that's what you got to decide for yourself. It's really hard to day trade these right now. It's harder to buy and hold, unless you have. Who just said? Manuel was saying, he has a high level of conviction. He just bought more bit farms. And he has a higher level of conviction now than when it was at $9. And I totally agree with that. I mean, there are several of these companies that are in the middle of executing great plans. And so the companies and the stocks have gone separate directions over the last 5 months. Really, since we peaked in November, it's just been a train wreck for the Bitcoin miners. And really for all the small cap high growth stocks, and now they're starting to take out the big stocks. So now we're seeing it in the indexes, but probably the vast majority of you, hey Martin, the vast majority of you probably have been like us where, every stock on I have well over 100 stocks on my watch list, and I would say, other than the ones that are ETFs that are counter the market, so, they do the opposite, everything else is down between 50 and 96%. I have one that's down 96%. And it's a company that I'm invested in. Fortunately, I did not start buying at the top. I started investing when it was down 90%. And I thought, well, it's down 90%. I'm good. Nope, it's down another 70% since then. So, these things cannot find a bottom. It's mind-boggling. Forget fundamentals are out the window. Technicals, once you've fallen below your all-time low, it's hard to even do a technical analysis. Now it's just in a free fall, which is so many stocks.
So, what do you think your prediction is? I mean, everybody's all over the place with Bitcoin right now, right? And I said in Discord, which if you don't subscribe, please do, to Discord. I think it's in the link below.
It should be in the link below.
So I put a picture in there, and what did I say? I don't think I said what I wanted to say. I think I said, "Tell me you're crashing without telling me you're crashing." Bitcoin. I said, I think it was last week or the week before. I said, "Don't get in to Bitcoin until the 5th of May." And everybody's like, "Whoa, why the 5th of May? Why the 5th of May?" And I knew this is coming. This is all part of the plan. This isn't even like I'm not even shocked. I'll be in complete, utter shock if it doesn't get to 29,000. But the problem is now, I don't know if that's the low. I used to think that was the low. Now I'm not sure if that's the low anymore.
Well, you've been solid at 29, and now you're saying you think it's going to go lower. I feel like 33 is a rock solid bottom, in my opinion. And I don't even think we're going to test that, but I mean, it's just been downward pressure. And the downward pressure on the Bitcoin miners has been way worse than the downward pressure on Bitcoin. So Edmund was just saying, this is a great buying opportunity, and that's the only way you can look at it. If you're looking into the companies and seeing what they're doing, I mean, some of these companies are executing incredibly well. And they're, this is an industry where they mint money. I mean, you don't really get to say that very often, but that's this industry, and they're just taking these stocks out. There's going to be some of these stocks that sometime in the next 24 months, if they don't have a radical increase, they're going to be trading at a PE of 1. And there's no, that just doesn't happen. So that's why I continue to, I've slowed down the pace at which I'm dollar cost averaging in, because, we've been doing this for 5 months now. So, there's only so much.
So how much more money would you put in right now if let's just say you had, I don't know, a couple 100,000, would you put it in right now, or do you think it's still too early?
For me, I would start dollar cost averaging. Let me go to one of my charts here, and because I kind of just, and the other thing is, so the question is, if Bitcoin retests its all-time lows, what's going to happen to these miners? Because they're already, let me go to a few of these. So look at Riot.
I don't want to look at Riot. It hurts me. Gives me like, I never had pain in my stomach until I started hanging out with you, Tom.
Well, that was 35 years ago, so. So here's Riot.
I said 10. Remember? I said it's breaking 10.
I know, and it's at 10. I mean, it's unbelievable. On January 24th, when Bitcoin got down to 33,000, Riot got down to 12, and that was its like 15 to 18 month low. So now it's way underneath that. I mean, where's the bottom? So if Bitcoin goes back down to 33 or 29, where's Riot going? 6? I mean...
Ooh, 6, that'd be interesting.
Well, part of the buying decision is if I go... Let me just show you Riot. I mean, I've been averaging into Riot. I will tell everybody. I've been averaging into a bunch of these, and Riot is one of them, because at $1.1 billion, I mean, this was a $7 billion company. Now it's $1 billion. That's hard to justify.
Hey, since Marathon's right there, click on Marathon. I read an article about how he's telling everybody he wants to sell. That's not a very good marketing strategy.
Let me tell you something, because I read that article, and I'm only going to say this one time. It's all the same article, and they keep republishing it everywhere. And somebody wrote that, if you remember, I did a video that said, because it was just one line in a giant article, and I was like, that's a funny line. So I did a giant video on how they were talking about, the possibility of selling. And now all of a sudden, somebody picked that up, whether it was from the article that I found it or whatever. And so now it's not that he's said it again. It all goes back to that same article that I had read a month ago. And, they're pushing that story huge, but it's a month old. I don't know why it's making the rounds right now. But he should have never said it. I mean, that's why I made a video on it. He answered that as a CEO of a publicly traded company. That is the easiest question ever to answer. So he whiffed. He gave a bad answer, and now they're throwing it in his face.
Now, why is Marathon still worth more than Riot?
Well, Marathon was a $7.5 billion company, and now they're 1.6. So it's not like they're doing great. Their chart looks almost the same. They're worth more because they got somewhere close to 70,000 machines in a warehouse. So I think the market's pricing in someday they're going to plug those in.
Can you figure out how many coins Riot has mined this month?
Riot, you can't look at directly. Marathon, you can look at their pool, and now
Right,
Core
that's where I'm
Scientific
going.
is doing it. They're listing it every day on their website, and they're doing about 40 a day. I'm just gonna go there.
40
now.
a day?
Yeah.
I don't even think Marathon's going to do 40 in a month.
They're not solving 40 blockchains. They're getting 40 Bitcoin.
Oh, so 6. I got you.
$37.5. So yesterday they got 37.5. The day before they got 39.5. So that seems to be the range that Core Scientific is in right now.
That's huge.
This is what I'm saying. Like, and they're valued. They're under $2 billion. Here. They're valued at $1.86 billion. I mean, they're going to mine 1,200 Bitcoin this month. And
Yeah, but that I can understand. I mean, so what is the best miner to buy right now? Who is the best miner to buy right now?
this question gets harder every week, and it's not because there aren't any good options. It's because now there are so many that are so unbelievably oversold, in my opinion, that it's hard to pick.
I'm going with Core.
Well, that's in the running. Core Scientific is mind-bogglingly oversold, in my opinion. Riot, if I want to look at anything, and I'll tell you, I went from a zero investment in Riot 6 or 8 months ago to it's now one of my bigger positions because their market cap just keeps crashing. But operationally, I mean, they're killing it. They break their own, they break their record for most Bitcoin mined every single month. They mined 511 Bitcoin last month. And they will break every single month for the rest of the year. They will set their own new record for the amount of Bitcoin they've mined. And they're at 511 as of last month. So they'll be at 1,000 a month by the end of the year. And this stock is in a free fall. So there's no sense to it.
But if you look at Core, who's going to come close to mining 1,200 Bitcoin? Riot? And how many are they going to mine?
Riot by the end of the year. Marathon.
No, just the end of this month. What do you?
Nobody.
This month.
Nobody.
Right?
Nobody. No, 600's the next best shot anybody has.
I have only 4,000 of Core, but I think I'm going to go heavy into Core. I mean, out of watching any of those guys,
they're $5.91. I mean,
insane.
But when they were at $8 or $9, I was pointing out on one of these live streams, like, wow, they were, under $6 once. That was the buying opportunity of a lifetime, and here they are again. So I've been averaging into Core Scientific as well, and Bitfarms for me at $2.88. I love what Bitfarms is doing. They have a great plan. Their execution is excellent. If you guys saw my interview with Ben, like those are serious dudes, and I feel like they got a rock solid plan. They're going to be at 8 exahash, December or January, and so they're going to be mining 1,000 Bitcoin a month.
My only problem with Bitfarms, and this is going to be kind of funny. They're not a sexy company to buy. And what I mean by that is, there's like no pizzazz behind it. I don't know if you can see how they like separate out and like some of them like have like pizzazz behind them. Does that make sense at all?
Bitfarms does not have a big marketing. Like, if you look at the other people I've interviewed, they're
who was it? Hi, was it Hut? Who's the girl?
Sue Ennis at Hut 8.
Yeah, I mean,
she's super knowledgeable, but yet extremely personable, and
right.
It's an engaging interview. Frank Holmes the same way. Some people love him, some people hate him, but very engaging, and.
But I look at now Bitfarms is only is the half of the cost of Core, right?
Well, you got to look at market cap, so they're significantly less than that. They're less than a third of the market cap of Core.
Less than a third?
Yeah.
I know. I'm a small-minded person, and I just look at the stock and I'm like, wow.
Hey JM, welcome aboard.
That thing's gonna go nuts. And I'm really worried, though, Tom, of Marathon. I have a feeling I just have a feeling that at the end of this month, which is just a couple days away, and next week, unless Bitcoin does some amazing things, I think it's just going to go way down.
Well, I've been dollar cost averaging into Riot a heck of a lot more than Marathon.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because if they would get their act together, they're sitting on... They got 35,000 machines running. They're sitting on another 70. I mean, they could be bigger than Core Scientific right now. Instead, they're you know,
Turning machines off.
they're right. They
Yeah, I
literally
know.
turned machines off last month. It's bizarre.
The
So
Hive, I have a 617 Hive at $2. Option, call.
Hive is at its what
I
I'm
paid,
calling its all-time low because I don't count anything before like December of 2020, back when Bitcoin was at 5,000 or 10,000. Since then, Hive was at $1.50 was their like 18-month low, and they hit $1.40. They closed at $1.46 today. And
who? Go ahead, go ahead.
somebody was asking. I just want to double check who it was. They were saying Hive or
Yeah,
Bitfarms.
yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Who wins? Hive or Bitfarms? I'm
I
going to say Bitfarms.
they have there are differences. This is the funny thing about all these Bitcoin miners. Every single one of them has a little bit of a different plan, and so it depends on what happens in the future. The one thing I'll say is Bitfarms' plan is they're planned out further than Hive is. They've got already deposits down on 7.2 exahash of mining machines, and they've been delivering them and getting them up and running like clockwork. Their efficiency rate is decent, and you could see the guys there. They're just all business. So I feel great about that. The thing about Hive is they've still got this Ethereum situation that, like it or not, I think that is suppressing the price of the stock because, a third of what they do is mine Ethereum. And obviously, most people think that's going to end very soon. They do not believe that, and I'm not quite sure when it's going to end, but that's holding the stock down. And they don't have a lot of purchase orders for more machines going forward. But I will tell you, a lot of these companies, almost all of them now have switched. They're not going to make these big orders anymore because it used to be you couldn't get your hands on a machine. Now, that is not the problem. The infrastructure and the energy is the bottleneck in the chain for most of these companies now. So companies are buying machines on the spot market, for the best price they can get it versus ordering machines. There were people ordering machines that they weren't even going to start delivering for a year. This got crazy. So that has flipped around. But in the meantime, Bitfarms got a great price on all their machines, and they're gonna be pushing 8 exahash at the end of the year. So in all likelihood, given the difficulty level, they should be mining somewhere around 1,000 Bitcoin a month. But and the way I see Hut is it depends. If they make some spot market purchases, they'll be mining 700 or 800 Bitcoin or BTC equivalents a month. And then, of course, if Hive does, or if Ethereum does convert to proof of stake, then they're going to have to mine something else that is not quite as profitable with those machines.
Pancake swap. They're going to mine pancake. Cake. I think they're called cake coins.
Jam saying, I like the Canadian miners. Logan, if Bitcoin really becomes what we think, these will be some of the biggest companies in the future if they can continue to operate. And that's the thing. So back to the original question, the answer to this is if you can look at this through a 5-year lens, then I think these are some of the greatest buying opportunities in the history of the stock market. Obviously, that's my opinion. If Bitcoin doesn't do what we think it's going to do, then they won't be. But the fundamentals on Bitcoin are very strong. I think it's moving where we all think it's moving, and I'm not even talking about Kathy Wood's $1 million number. I'm just talking about healthy growth over the next 5 years, and these Bitcoin miners should explode. So yeah, could some of these winners 10, 20, 30x? That's not unrealistic. There's companies that have done a lot more than that. Big companies. These guys are all tiny.
So what happens if the market really crashes? Crashes.
The
We go
stock market or crypto market or both?
The stock market. Come Monday, we get 20% off, another 20% down. Obviously, Bitcoin's going with it, right?
that has been the trend. So until that
Yeah.
stops, there's no reason to believe
What
it won't continue.
we just back the truck up and buy as much as we possibly can?
If there was a 1-day crash or whatever, then yeah, absolutely. 10, 20% off of these prices. I mean, look at how far Riot is below its. I keep wanting to say it's all-time low, but it was trading for pennies a while ago. But that's when they weren't really mining any Bitcoin, and Bitcoin wasn't worth anything. So since the beginning of the bull run, this is by far their all-time low, and they're I'm gonna say I think they're 20x the exahash that they were doing 18 months ago. So these
Wow.
were small companies.
How'd it go? Sorry.
Even the companies, that we consider the big ones that were the big market caps, they weren't really doing very much business a year ago. Hive has been mining for a while, Hut's been mining for a while, Bitfarm. So the Canadian miners probably have a little more experience than the US miners. But there's nobody that's that old school in this that's a publicly traded company. So
Crash equals buy.
I mean, if it's good at this price, it's better at a lower price. That's the only way I can look at it. And
Should I make my prediction on Bitcoin price by the end of the year?
By the end of the year, ready? Let's hear it.
More than what it is today.
Oh, wow. Stunning. Matthew's asking who is the most ESG, and everybody, well, I won't say everybody. There's several companies that argue they are excellent, and it's really the E in ESG. I know
Energy?
CleanSpark, obviously.
CleanSpark by a mile.
Well, Hive claims they're carbon neutral. Bitfarms is all hydro. Hut 8 is mostly hydro. So there's a bunch of these that are very, very clean. There are others that, Bitfarms right now is 100% hydro, but they're about to do 100 megawatts of natural gas. So, and they're not apologetic about it. They still feel like they're an environmentally friendly company. All their Canadian stuff, they've got 3 exahash, 100% hydro, and natural gas is a lot better than, oil or coal. So
I do not like the scoring of ESG right now. It is very confusing to try to understand how they came up with their scoring, and for social. Like CleanSpark just did. The only reason I know this because I'm from Atlanta. CleanSpark just did a college, what is it called? A college scholarship.
Yeah, they did a
to
bunch
a
of
local
scholarships.
a whole bunch of them. And I mean, that's good.
So that's right. That's the S. But everybody says ESG, but
They only
what
mean
the
E.
market cares about is E.
Right.
And there's some companies that are very, the Mining Council just put out. I'm going to do a video on it if you guys haven't read the report yet. And now, it's published by the Bitcoin Mining Company, which is comprised basically of all the CEOs of the publicly traded Bitcoin mining companies and Michael Saylor and a couple of other people. So, you may say it's biased, but they're reporting information that in a lot of ways is verifiable through what they have to file through the SEC. And the bottom line is they're using less energy than they used to, and a higher percent of that energy is green energy. So that's what we got to ask of them. So to be reasonable and to have legislation and regulations come in, that's what we need to ask. If every year your industry can use less energy in total and increase the amount of renewable energy as a portion of that, then they're doing a good job. But, they're not going to go to zero. It's not going to happen.
Is there a way, and this is what I'm worried about, the biggest thing I'm worried about right now with Bitcoin miners is this. Is there a way to figure out which one of these companies is going to need money next? Because what I'm worried about is that all of a sudden they go and they say, because doesn't Bitfarm still have a shelf offering? sitting out there?
They have one open. There's several
Yeah.
that have one open right now.
And they all say the same thing. We're not going to do it at this price. But at some point in time, they're going to be out of cash. And that's what I'm worried about. You know what I mean?
And they have obligations. I mean, those
Yeah.
who have purchase orders out there, particularly the newer miners. So I will tell you, the ones that are in the most position that need cash are more towards the bottom of my list here. You know, Cypher's
Starting
going
at
to need...
BT.
Oh, I don't even want to talk about BT, or that's a separate conversation. They managed to somehow go from 2.6 exahash to 0.5 exahash.
So are you saying that basically from BT down is nervousy? It makes you nervous?
Well, let me put it in perspective. DigiHost has I think they're probably 70 million, 78 million-ish. Let's check them because this scares me, and I hold a bunch of this. Oh, oops. And I would sell it, except
I got out. I'm glad I did.
they're a $71 million market cap company. Okay, they have a $250 million shelf offering. So, I mean, obviously they can't use the vast majority of that, right? I mean, even if they use $70 million of that, that's 100% liquidation for them.
And what would happen
dilution.
and what would happen? It would divide in half?
Their stock would probably go down 50%, and it would probably go down even more than that because people would understand, man, they only used 70 million of the 250 million. Most of that's still left to go. So they got to wait. They're stuck at $2.58. They can't use that at the market offering. And they don't have to. They don't have any obligations, but they could be sitting in a holding pattern. And the problem becomes with the halving coming at some point, there's only so many months you can sit in a holding pattern and not grow. The companies that have locked in their growth are the ones that I have the most confidence in. The companies that have locked in their growth, that have started to have a proven track record of operating and meeting their goals, those are the companies that I'm switching my money into. You know, and a year from now, that may be a different list. You know, I mean,
Right,
Cypher's not on that list because they really don't mine anything yet. So
Probably Annie's on there though, right? Annie's real executing high level. They got the S and the G taken care of, so
that's right.
I forgot to tell you, Annie probably is the highest of the ESG.
Yeah, because they don't do anything. So
no, because they have a machine called the new miner that is going to be, it's just awesome. 440.
Any is trading at $1.37. So I hope everybody got out of any. I'm guessing you all did.
What was it? We went at $8, I think. $9.
Yeah.
And it's just gone. That is disgusting. When do they go out of business? Will they make it through the end of the year?
I have a list of companies that I don't think are going to make it, and I don't know when they're not going to make it. And well, some of these companies I think will be absorbed, so their stockholders will do just fine because they'll get traded on a multiple. And some of these companies are just going to run out of money and not make it. And Eni is probably in the pole position on that one because their world has been turned upside down. Their merger's not happening, and I don't know how they're going to execute their plan. So
like Gree and then Eni. So we should come up like 5 or 6 and make a pool and bet money on which one's going under first.
That's lovely.
Hey, it's real life.
It's going to take a while. I don't think you're going to see 5 of these disappear in the next year.
No, but I think one's going out of business this year, don't you? Or no?
That's my thought, is that there's one that's not going to make it this year, and then when the halving comes,
2 or 3 next year, and
it's those who are not prepared for the halving are not going to make it past that, and they're probably going to get eaten up and get something. So a lot of these won't go to zero. Like, if Hive doesn't turn the corner, they're not going to go to zero. They do have strong operations. They're worth something to somebody.
This will tell you how bad it is. I bought Lux at 20 cents and sold it at like $1, and now it's back to 22 cents. Does that just blow your mind? They're
That's
bigger, they're executing more. They probably have a bigger mining capacity, and it just this everything's gone.
I mean, these are at the bottom of my list here. These are some small cap stocks.
Yeah,
So, I don't even usually talk about any of these because
I know. I just Lux has always been my fun one. So
it's a fun one, and you've done very well in this one. And the volatility has been, as much as these are unbelievably volatile, these small ones can be even that much more volatile. We have a subscriber I know who trades MGTI all the time, and man, the volatility on this thing is wild.
yeah, but wouldn't you think that those guys down there are going to have a quicker upswing than the bigger ones, or no?
I think
Like one's going to pop.
it depends what their plan is, because most of these don't have purchase orders, they don't have money, and they don't have big plans to get to even 1 exahash. So, I mean, this is what I'm looking at. Companies, everybody's going to need to get to about, in the short term, 5 exahash, and then soon after that, 8 exahash, and by the halving, 20 exahash. So if you're not there, if you're at 1.5 exahash at the halving, you're getting bought up or going away, in my opinion. Because there's just too many already purchase ordered, deposited, paid for, going to be delivered. I mean, look at, Argo Blockchain I just did a video on. They sat there, and I've never done an Argo Blockchain video, and I finally did one. And the reason I haven't done one is they haven't really released any news in 7 or 8 months. And the reason they haven't released any news, I just found out, when they finally did release news, is they haven't added any machines really in over 6 months. So they're sitting at 1.6 exahash. However, they now have machines to get up to 5.5 exahash, and they have infrastructure. Their goal is 20 exahash, and they have infrastructure. If they finish what they're doing, they could go, to 50 exahash. Now, obviously, there's an awful lot of money to be spent to get from here to there. So that's another one where that was a big improvement. But again, that's all on paper right now. We got to see them execute that. And some of that, they said they're going to be at, I think, 3.7 like by the end of the second quarter. So that's 2 months from now. So if we see that, if I see them go from 1.6 to 3.7, then they're executing. And I'm going to believe that they're going to do what they need to do. But it's amazing as I track these companies and watch, a lot of these perform extremely well that they're all crashing. I mean, it's unbelievable.
So, do you feel this was a takeout? Do you feel that they're just taking it out just because they can?
I mean, something's going on. That's what I can say, because this is not the natural order of things. And the stock market does that a lot. And all these put together, their market cap, I'm going to redo it. The last time I checked, every publicly traded company on my list put together, their market cap was $12.5 billion.
That was what, a week or two ago, wasn't it?
It's probably under $10 billion now. No, it's not probably. It's under $10 billion.
So what you're saying is Elon Musk could come in and buy every single one.
He could buy everyone in the whole industry for cash. I mean, and that would be,
and it's only $10 billion.
So think
and
about
it's
that.
Probably going to make more money than freaking Twitter.
He paid $44 billion for Twitter. For a quarter of that, he could own 100% of every single Bitcoin mining company.
That's crazy.
So those are the terms I try to put it in to tell myself where are these things going to be in 5 years. Because if we try to think where are they going to be in a month, it's just 1 month after the next of disappointment. But at some point, I'll tell you, it goes back to I think it was maybe 2007, 2008. Things like McDonald's. McDonald's was at like $25. Now they're at $250. Home Depot did the same. A lot of those are big well-established companies, and they 10x'd. So imagine what these small, massively underpriced, because those companies were fairly priced at the time, and they still 10x'd. So what are these guys going to do? You know, somebody on this list is going to 50x. I don't know who it is.
So, do you think that these could all get cut in half again from where they are currently?
You know,
If Bitcoin goes to 29
I don't want
during the week?
I hate to say never, but I cannot fathom some of these stocks getting cut in half. There's some on this list that I could still see there's room left for them to get cut in half. There are others where I can't envision that.
I just can't see. I can't believe that Marathon is still worth more than Riot. There's just no reason at all. I know you say that they have the machines,
Well,
but if they're not executing, and they're gonna have just an awful month again, we already know they're gonna have an awful month.
Riot's going to have an incredible month, and Marathon's going to have a bad month reporting. There's no doubt. Hive, let's put it this way. This will be the second or third month in a row that Hive is going to have mined more than Marathon.
Yes.
And Hive's market cap is less than half Marathon's market cap.
Is it even 500 million?
Yeah, it's in the 600 something. There's a bunch of them in the low 600s, and
so would you move more of your, you know how you put so much in EVs, you put in so much in oil stocks, so much in all these different industries. Would you move more into these mining?
I have already been disproportionately moving money into this sector. The only one I'm not taking it out of is there's some small cap, high growth EV stocks that are experiencing the same thing that these are, down 80, 90%. So
like Neo.
Well,
I shouldn't even say this story, but I'm going to give you a good story. It's not a good story, but this is a story that I feel everybody's pain. Remember when Neo was going nuts last year?
Oh, you watch YouTube, Neo 100, Neo 300, Neo, video after video.
A guy took all his money and put it into Neo and bought it, and as it kept going up, he kept buying, and he lost $500,000. I think he's averaged in at like 100 and something a share.
So that's a great story, because I will tell you, this is why I always answer. I get one of the biggest questions I get is, well, if you could buy one, miner, if you could buy one miner, what would it be? And my answer is, I would not buy one miner, because you don't know what's going to happen with any one company. So that is why even within an industry, I'm diversified amongst the, I'm in more than most people. I have 8 miners that I hold right now, but splitting it between 3 or 4 is a smart strategy, because, there was a point where Marathon looked like it was the runaway winner. And look at them now. And having said that, maybe if they get their act together, maybe they're going to be, once again on top. So,
they're going to have to push the truck to get it on top, but still.
There's always danger in being in just one company.
Right.
And there's danger. I mean, I'm over concentrated. Most people would look at my portfolio and say, that's not good. You have too much concentration in the Bitcoin mining stocks. I have a very high level of conviction in these stocks, and they continue to underperform.
Bitcoin, I mean, we do these like little scenarios in life, and Bitcoin, we'll just say Bitcoin, even though you could use a couple other coins. There are ideas that we come up in our head of what Bitcoin can solve right now that would change the history of the United States.
And the world.
In the world. And there is practical uses for this that no one's talking about, that we should be talking about, and I don't want to be the first one to talk about it. Let's put it that way. It is such a great idea, and I don't feel that I'm the smartest person with Bitcoin, but by any stretch of imagination. I think that there's people up there a lot smarter, and I gotta think it's already been talked about. And I go back to my theory that either the FBI or the CIA controls the price of Bitcoin. I have no problem saying that.
I have no affiliation with that statement.
It's George C. No, because they got into it early. You know who was a big opponent or a big what's the
Proponent?
word? Opponent of it was what's the guy with the curly hair that's in
Ron Paul.
huge, loves it. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. He was the guy with the
Huge. He
curly
was
hair.
like
So.
he just knew what I was talking about. He got into it early on, and I was like, wow, I didn't know that.
Well, I mean, here's Hive. They did go. So even I checked at 3:00 and they were over 600 million, and now they're 598 million. So, yeah.
Coinbase 357 to 113. Wow. That's insane. He's going.
Dun, dun, dun. This was $368 was its 52-week high. But see, like here, Coinbase, and okay, they're very different business models. Coinbase alone is worth 3 times as much as every single Bitcoin miner put together.
That doesn't make any sense at all.
So,
none.
Is that going to be true 5 years from now? That's
Opponent.
If you can wait, if you have that time frame, if you got money that you can't tie up for 5 years, then you can't think in a 5-year strategy or a 10-year strategy. But if you have that time frame, that's the question you should ask yourself. What is the market cap? I mean, there's the companies that succeed will 10, 20, 30x in my opinion. And it won't be, and I'm not going to say, oh, that's my year-end target, because it's not my year-end target. That's my, that's a 5-year target. When these things get where they're going, some of these are going to be major companies. MicroStrategy, Logan is saying, has 130,000 Bitcoin. Yeah, and they just keep buying, and he said he's never going to sell. That's true.
Can you imagine if that's worth $1 million a piece? What is his company worth? Right. Is he the richest man?
He still would not be the richest man, but he would be on the list. He would be a lot richer than he is today.
I mean, that's an E. That's an E. When you do it on a calculator.
Yeah.
It'd be an E
in the scientific number as an answer. Yeah. So their market cap is $4 billion right now.
If it went to $1 million, what would it be? Really, honestly, what would it?
That's incredible. Well, if it goes to $1 million, that's a 25x, I think.
25 from? Oh, wow.
Right? Oh, let's do the math.
Oh, is it? So, oh yeah.
Yeah, because we're a little under 40. So that'd be a 25x. 2.2. So that would be $100 billion. This would be a $100 billion company in that circumstance. If it just want to, and it'll probably be more than that because, this is undervalued right now.
I have a question. Do you think in our lifetime, since I'm 52, that we will see Bitcoin over $1 million a coin?
I think that I'm not investing based on that concept. Let me put it that way. So As I do the math and I look at my investments and what's going to happen, I'm not even counting on Bitcoin 500,000. So from an investment standpoint, I'm not looking at any of those numbers. But from a personal belief standpoint, yeah, I think Bitcoin's probably going to $1 million. I don't know. It may take 10, 12 years, whatever it is.
So what you're saying, though, is that the stocks are going to do a leverage play and make more money percentage-wise for us with little money than just to buy Bitcoin.
That's exactly why. That is the reason to invest in the Bitcoin miners. It is if the price of Bitcoin continues to rise faster than the difficulty rate of the network, and in the past there's been no contest, so it's not like that's a maybe. There would have to be a catastrophe for that not to happen. Then these should be a massively leveraged play on Bitcoin, because even right now, and I know I don't even want to start the cost argument, because we've had some heated debates about what does it cost these companies to mine their Bitcoin, but I will just tell you, when you the way that the number that most of these companies use is it's a kind of a cash basis hybrid number. So it's actually not like a GAAP financial accounting number. What it is it's their energy, their direct costs, the energy and running their facilities per Bitcoin. So, direct cost is also depreciation of your machines, because obviously buying these machines is the biggest cost out of everything. However, once you bought the machine, your cash costs for that on a going forward basis are zero. You already bought it. So that's why they say, our direct cost for a Bitcoin is $5,000 or $3,000, because that is the cash basis cost, not including overhead. Because remember, your overhead and your administration, that's not going to change per Bitcoin. That's just is what it is. So the more Bitcoin you can mine, the lower your cost is going to be overall. So these companies they're not in a risk of going out of business because, Bitcoin's going to get too low. The majority of them. But, Bitcoin at 15,000 would hurt a lot of these companies, because plus depreciation, plus overhead, they're going to be losing money.
15,000, huh?
Everybody, don't forget to like and subscribe, please, if you haven't already. We appreciate it.
There was one more question as you talked about that. It made me think of. Uh-oh, technical support is here. This is Barkley. Say hi, Barkley.
I wasn't properly viewing my the chat, so I was way behind. Sorry, everybody.
Oh, okay. It's Barkley. Hey, Barkley.
Dogs and cats living together.
What was I going to ask you about Bitcoin and the play with the money and
Logan's saying you will for sure see Bitcoin at $1 million. And then Mark's asking, don't you think there will be some consolidation, some of the large ones buying the small companies? Absolutely. That's where I was going earlier. Some of these companies are going to go away. That doesn't mean they're going to go out of business. They're going to get consumed by the larger ones.
Oh,
so I
know what I was going to ask you. What was the price jump when the halving happened the last time? What percentage did Bitcoin jump?
It's usually a 10x.
It is? Okay.
Yes. So it didn't do anywhere near that this time.
Oh, it didn't. What did it do this time?
Might even be. I might be. I want to. Before I even say the number, I'm thinking I want to look it up because.
Okay. Because wouldn't that only make sense that that's going to happen again in the next halving?
Well, this last halving didn't do what the two before it did. So there was a pattern developing, and everybody was kind of counting on that. And
Plan B?
Yeah, you got your Plan B. Clearly, Plan B did not work. Now he's got a new thing out that I just saw a couple of days ago, and that's the overexuberance is one of the things that helped the people short this and keep Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners down, because the expectation was set way too high. Right? Everybody was 99% sure that, Bitcoin was going to be 100,000 in March of 2021. I would say 90+% of Bitcoin investors assumed Bitcoin would be over 100,000 in the year 2021. Now we're in the year 2022, and I would say less than 50% of the people think that Bitcoin will be over 100,000 in the year 2022. So the expectations are starting to get in line, and that is what is going to allow Bitcoin to finally take off. For as long as people are over exuberant, they're always going to be able to be taken advantage of. So there will be rug pull after rug pull. I mean, every week you see the amount of shorts that get liquid or longs that get liquidated. It's It's a never-ending flow. So that's
You
got to
would
reduce.
would you ever long Bitcoin?
I would never leverage long Bitcoin anything more than, I don't even like to use margin in my trading accounts, but I don't think there's anything wrong with using margin, but I think you got to be careful and you got to leave yourself some room because let's put it this way, if you use your 100% of your margin, you're probably going to get a margin call. So, and these 25x leverages are radically more dangerous than using 100% of your margin. So, no, I would never, it's a formula for disaster. And if you're desperate or if you're a gambler or whatever the case may be, there's a thrill in that, and every once in a while you might hit. But when you lose, it's all gone because it's you don't get a margin call. You just get liquidated. You're done.
You won't look it up, so I'm looking it up.
Okay, I'm just trying to read a couple of these. Falling behind. Walls of money for Bitcoin are still coming. Well, and that exactly. Most of the investing world hasn't even really started to invest in Bitcoin, right? The Fidelity just opened up their retirement funds, and that's going to take a long time to implement, and it's going to be one company at a time. But people are going to get to vote if they can want to have Bitcoin in their retirement funds. That over a 5-year period, the impact that's going to have on the price of Bitcoin, just that one thing, is astronomical. There's all this ESG money sitting on the sidelines until we get some regulations. So that's a giant cloud that hangs over their head. You can, as soon as the regulations come through, and I'm not a regulations guy, but the fact is there, some amount of regulations are probably healthy, and past that, I don't care if you like them or you don't like them, some amount of regulations are coming. So that uncertainty is holding the price of Bitcoin down, and the Bitcoin miners are getting hit worse because there's more uncertainty for them based on this, what kind of emission standards are going to be put into place. So we need that. We need the answer to that question. It's it's like we haven't built an oil refinery in this country in 40 years, not because they're not profitable, because the rules keep changing. So nobody's going to spend $1 billion to build a facility for something when by the time it's done, it might be against the law to use it. So that's what regulations will do. It will put some certainty back into it, and whatever the regulations are, the people will know, okay, this is what we need to do. And then they can start doing it. And I will tell you, the Bitcoin miners they're not waiting. The amount of infrastructure that's getting built for mining Bitcoin right now in North America is staggering. So that's another reason that I'm encouraged, because that means that whoever they're talking to and whatever they feel the regulations are, they believe that they're already either in striking distance of being compliant or already compliant, or else they would not be building these monster 500 megawatt, 800 megawatt. Riot just announced a 1 gigawatt facility in Texas, right? That they wouldn't be building that, and it's in stages, so it's not like they're going to build all of it today, but it's a $350 million investment. They wouldn't be doing that if they thought they weren't going to be able to use it.
Well, and I think that our ideas of Bitcoin and what Bitcoin can be used for, I think it had to be in the United States for it to be used for what we were talking about. By the way,
I think there's going to be a lot more transparency in North America than there were in, other places. I don't know how China is not, just as a matter of fact, they are significantly less clean in their energy usage than we are. So, and you bring it over here and you regulate it, then yeah, you're gonna get to the goal that you want. And so I agree. Between North America, whether it's Canada is like the ideal place to mine Bitcoin just because of the weather. But with this immersion stuff, every place can be Canada in the future. Bitcoin/crypto current prices will look like a joke in the future. Yeah, Logan, that's Logan. I agree. Do you think CleanSpark can get to 20 exahash, or is that a pipe dream? It'll be tough to get there in the next 2 to 3 years. CleanSpark is my miner I'm backing. Yeah, that is their plan, and yes, they have the infrastructure to do so. They've already shored up the infrastructure side. They still need to buy an awful lot of machines, and that takes a lot of money, but they're not afraid to spend their Bitcoin. And yeah, they have made it crystal clear they intend to be a top 5 Bitcoin miner. And they have a plan that I think they've been executing very well. And they're very green. So whatever the regulations come out, there's unlikely that CleanSpark is going to have to do anything different other than maybe just, if there's a carbon audit, you got to pay for your audit, but they're going to pass with flying colors. That company is very green. So that I have them in my winners column. Yes, I have them as one of the ones that are going to win, in my opinion.
Very interesting, Tom.
Very. I mean, not everybody's going to get to where they're going. There's a lot of people. I'm going to do a video. I made, I have a lot of charts and spreadsheets and all that. And I've got one where I track everybody's contracted exahash. So that means that it's under contract and they've given a deposit. And then their stated planned exahash. So, the planned exahash is a lot less reliable than the contracted exahash. If you've ordered it, put a deposit down. However, even that, as a couple of companies have found out, is no guarantee that you're going to get your machines. Just ask Stronghold or any.
Uh-oh, they went our top 5 again, Tom. I almost want to look and go back because I picked them and it's definitely changed. I pulled that up on an Excel spreadsheet here. Miners.
Ryan's saying CleanSpark's value is so far below their, I was guessing saying assets priced for bankrupt or for BTC to go to that. I agree with that, but I would say the vast majority of these bit miners are priced for, essentially they're pricing in a very high risk that they're all going to go out of business and go to zero. That's what their stock is pricing in right now. That's not how they're executing, and we're going to see first quarter earnings are coming out pretty soon. So everybody's going to get a much clearer look at what's going on. Even at, Bitcoin was at, not a high number in the first quarter. So imagine, in the second or third or fourth quarter, if Bitcoin can get to 50 or 60 or 70,000, these financials are going to be out of this world.
We did the top 3 miners when we did our chart. We only did the top 3, so let's stay with the top 3.
Hey, Step Curry, welcome.
Mine doesn't change, by the way. I don't think yours will change either, but maybe. Yours were number 1 was Bitfarm, go figure. Number 2 was Hut, and number 3 was Riot.
Mine might change a little bit. I just want to answer a quick question first. Step Curry's asking, what would it take for Bitcoin to get back into Plan Z? So I got one of my charts I show every day, my Bitcoin update. I've been calling Plan Z for zoom out, and it's not that much. By the end of the weekend, I think Bitcoin would have to be at like $40,200 to be back inside that trading channel. So, it was there all day yesterday, and then at the last second, it went down and closed outside the channel. And then today, obviously, was not a good day, but they're one day away from being back in that channel. Having said that, they're 1 day away from breaking their line of support at 37,500 and going the other way. So this is the hard part. That we are in the most massive case of limbo I've ever seen.
Oh, and just when I think Bitcoin's going to 29,000, I don't think it's going to stay there. I think we're just going to have another flash crash.
So you just think it's going to be a quick stop along the
Yep.
way,
I
get
just think
everybody
it
to
has
sell at their all-time low.
I just think it has to happen.
So the Intel chips, and that's part of what JM's asking which companies are getting the Intel. They have to be pre-approved as green. So the two that I know that have been selected are Argo Blockchain and Hive. And Argo is getting a massive order. So, neither one disclosed what their order was, and then Argo reported earnings and gave some more disclosure, and they're getting a massive amount of chips. Now, you got to make your machines yourself, or obviously subcontract that out. So it's not like buying a mining machine from all the other miners. But yeah, those are the two companies. Those are the first two, and Argo has a right to buy a certain percent of the chips that they make for a certain period of time. They have like a first right of refusal type of a thing. So, they'll need to have the money to keep up with that. But that's why I have changed. I have not been an Argo person because they were very stagnant, and they were doing the thing that I like least. They were radio silent. And for me, when a company's radio silent as an investor, how do I make any intelligent decision at all? So now they just came out with an awful lot of disclosures, and I'm feeling much better about them. But like I said, I'd like to see them execute some of that.
I I don't think any of the miners will go out of business because of ESG, just so you guys know. I just think it's a way to suppress the price. And if the administration changes in America, I would imagine ESG is going to kind of go away again.
You're saying which miners will go out of business? I mean, yeah. Well, let's put it this way:
they might go private.
Right, because that's the other option. You can and at these prices, it's not that hard to take these companies private, and it's probably worth it. So that could happen to some of these before you know it. There could be hostile takeovers could happen to some of these companies at these prices. I mean, a lot of stuff could happen. But I think the companies that are the least ESG, so I don't know this for a fact, and I don't want to bash anybody, but Marathon, despite the fact that they say they're going to be 100% carbon neutral by December 31st, 2022. So I don't know how they're going to do that. They must know of something magical because they're not anywhere near that neighborhood at the moment. And I will tell you, all this stuff in Texas, and there's going to be a considerable amount of the world's hash rate in Texas 3 years from now.
You know what else is funny about Texas?
What?
All my exes live in Texas. Sorry. I got to laugh after today.
There's a lot.
Brutal.
That energy is not 100% green. So there's a lot of green energy in Texas, and a lot of them are hooking up to a part of that, but that's a hybrid of energy down there.
They are recycling all that oil that comes out of the ground.
They're recycling it?
Recycling it. I mean, isn't that the basis of recycling? Sorry.
They're just taking the scenic route.
No, but they probably have like a 90% efficiency use out of this energy. So they're, burning 90% of it. I think somebody called you Bill Murray, by the way. That wasn't me. They said, who? Nobody knew that Bill Murray was on this?
Oh, Bill Murray is in our Discord. I can't vouch that it's the Bill Murray.
Oh, it totally is.
They've got his picture.
Oh, really? Yeah. Bill, hey Bill, it's good talking to you. I should bring John Cena on. Then people will be like, "What? You know Cena?" I'm
just scrolling back. We're going too fast. I can't keep up to that.
Jack is a 100% believer in Bitcoin, So that will come with rewards for investors. Why is Hive so good on the charts, but weak reflecting price? It was me. No, it's not me. You know what's funny? Somebody else said I look like Bill Murray. I don't know if that's a compliment or if I had his money, I wouldn't mind looking like him, I guess. I think he's a funny guy, so I really love Bill Murray. So thank you
he's
for
a
the
classic.
compliment. I mean,
We were just talking about a Bill Murray movie. Was that
I call him
yesterday or today?
Uncle Bill. Yeah, no, we were talking about that when I miss those type of movies like, Animal House, Porky's.
What about Bob? We were talking
What
about
about
with
Bob
Bill Murray.
was awesome. Caddyshack, that gopher. Love that damn gopher.
We're from the 80s, so.
Yeah, we're from the 80s. But I loved all that stuff, you know what I mean? That's my humor. That's the type of movies I like to go watch. Like Ghostbusters, that's one big Twinkie.
Ghostbusters is one of my favorites, and they just put out a good sequel, in my opinion. That it's more
Say something
nostalgic.
funny.
But
A Bitcoin's going to 29,000. Is that funny? I don't know any good jokes.
so Jack Dorsey's a Bitcoin guy. Logan's saying so. Block, aka Square. It's funny. They still do their commercials promoting Square, but they changed their name to Block. I don't get it. I don't understand that, but I guess it doesn't matter.
Block.
Hey, Bob.
Maybe it was Blockhead.
You saw? I saw it in the theaters too. That was and several times since. That's one you can watch more than one time for sure. Is it too early for flapjacks?
And my other favorite is probably Chevy Chase when he was normal. I can barely speak, just normal.
Groundhog Day, absolute classic.
Well, I think that's pretty much it, Tom. Can you think of anything else? You need to give me that answer, though, about what percentage Bitcoin went up after the halving. And I guess it's something about it takes 100 days after the halving for the price to adjust. I would really like to know that.
All right. I mean, we'll look at it. I think historically it's 10x. That's what I think. But we'll
10x, really? I'll
Yeah.
take a 10x.
But this cycle has been different, and I believe all future cycles will be different, which is why, I've long said I don't think there's going to be a crypto winter, meaning, crypto is going to go down 70 or 80%. But I also, don't think there's going to be these blow-off tops that there used to be, because there's a lot more forces at work. Bitcoin is a lot more in the limelight than it used to be in those days. So I do think we'll get some big runs. I think there'll be some almost some squeezes. I mean, at some point, this supply-demand thing has to have an impact. There's going to be a shortage of Bitcoin, and so I'm hopeful. I'm
Are you selling
bullish.
any? You selling any? Selling
Yeah.
Bitcoin?
Julio saying, have you seen Riot's latest announcement? Yeah, I think they announced an 800 megawatt facility in Texas. So, that's what I'm saying. Like, everybody is geared. When you see 500 megawatt, 800 megawatt, 1 gigawatt, that's not even gearing up for 20 exahash. That's gearing up for much, much more than that. So these guys are planning on being around for a while.
So I have a question, and this is going to be a complicated answer, and this just hit me. There is no way in 8 years from now we can have all this power for all these miners and go to EVs. There is no way it happens. I never even thought it out.
But here's the thing. When you see, I'm going to do a thing that council just put out, and they talk about the amount of energy Bitcoin's used. And it's one of these things that is wildly misunderstood. While proof of work does use massive amounts more energy than proof of stake, the total amount of energy that Bitcoin uses is a rounding error. in the world's energy usage. Now, if it 10x's, but here's the thing, the amount of miners has gone up dramatically, and the amount of energy we're using is going down in total. So that trend could continue because these miners continue to be more efficient. So just because they get up to 20 or 30 or 40, 50 exahash doesn't mean we're going to 20x in the amount of energy that we use. And if it's green energy, so I would expect, nowhere near a 1-to-1 ratio in increase in exahash and increase in energy usage. These machines continue to get a lot more energy efficient. And then, of course, when the new miner comes out.
I just figured out why they're doing what they're doing, and I can't tell you why, but I just figured it out. As you were talking, you just solved the puzzle for me, and it's worse than you think, and I can't tell you why, but wow. It makes so much sense now. Wow. Yeah.
I don't want to mispronounce.
Only thing I can say is wow. Oh!
Tayeb? I'm pronouncing your name wrong, I'm sure, but hello, and what do I think of Romeo? I still hold all of my Romeo stock. I stopped averaging in at about $1.11 because it keeps bouncing back to the same price, so you're really not averaging in anymore when it just keeps hitting the same price. But I feel, for me, that's a high conviction play. So I did add to it along the way. I consider my position full now, but I have big. Romeo is down, so that's the stock. They are down 96% from their high about 18 months ago. So, here's everybody's challenge. Go find me another stock in the stock market down 96%. It's unfathomable. But to me, that's why I haven't sold my Romeo and put it into Bitcoin miners, because they're the same thing. They might even be more underpriced than the Bitcoin miners, in my opinion.
And I just have one more question real quick. The 10K to the 100K challenge.
Yes.
Did you change the name?
No. That's the challenge.
I thought it was a 10K to the 5K challenge.
Well, we've had a few users suggest that they're in the middle of their 10K to 0 challenge. Because it's been a tough market, but that's why I'm doing this. We can all feel the pain together because, listen, this is everybody. Nobody's escaping these 50, 60, 70, 80, 90% down is all over the place. And now it's hitting the big cap stocks. They're getting taken out. So there's pain, but the pain will end. It always does. Somebody early said, we've had crashes before, and eventually they turn around. Yeah, Skills is another one. Skills is down over 90%. That's a good get, Julio. That one is down viciously. I'm waiting for it to retake its 52-week low, and I might. That's on my watch list. I know they have some issues, and people hate their games, and I don't play their games, so I don't know. But I look at their company. And if they can just sort out a couple of things, I mean, it doesn't take much to go up.
I submitted a game to them, and they didn't even call me back. And it was a good game. I call it Poop Golf.
Hey, Mike.
Go figure. Poop Golf. It's a great game. Everybody loves the golf.
Thanks, Martin.
What about Beam?
Beam to me is a very high conviction play. Beam is the double whammy, and I will tell you, I never buy anything in hopes that it's going to be a short squeeze. However, it is nice if you have a stock that has awesome fundamentals and it's an incredible setup for a short squeeze. So if you go look at Beam, they only have, I think, their float is 8 million shares, and they're one of the most shorted stocks in the entire stock market. So the clock is just ticking. In my opinion, that is an inevitable squeeze. But that's not why I hold it. Because also, in my opinion, that company should triple, quadruple on its own naturally or more.
So how do you get... We need to all buy Beam next week and then push it.
Here's the thing. There's not that many shares in the float. So, trying to short squeeze, AMC with a 500 million shares. That's tough. Trying to short squeeze Beam with.
We talked to somebody, and he just sat there, and he was until he blew in the face saying that AMC is going to 1,000. He doesn't care. It's going to 1,000. It's going to 1,000.
VGFC.
Going to 1,000.
Oh, yeah, please. Oh, 100,000. He was convinced. He was gonna be rich.
100,000. CO, what CO is down 93%?
VGFC down 90. I mean, it's staggering, and good. Congratulations for you guys for being able to come up with a couple right off the top of your head. But that's how bad this market is. You do not usually see, by the time a company's down 90%, it's almost a certainty in the past. It's almost a certainty that that company's going out of business. And that is just not what's happening right now. Stocks are getting taken out 90% when it's unlikely they're going to go out of business. There's no reason to believe they'll go out of business.
Based on your experience, would you think Riot and Marathon 250 price is realistic within 3 to 5 years? Question mark.
Riot and Marathon at $250? I mean, that seems so hard to fathom at the current price, but a 5-year price target of that is not hard to imagine for me.
BlackRock now owns 18.1% of MicroStrategy. Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and everything else.
I know. That's why I still think Bitcoin's going down, is because I think that those guys want to have a certain amount of positions in crypto, and I think you're going to have I don't even know if it's going to take off this summer. I'm a little getting nervous about that. Right now, I'm hoping it will, but I'm not 100% yet.
We're just going to have to wait it out. I mean, we've been getting head faked time after time after time, but
look at head fake.
At some point, the fundamentals kick in. I go through a lot of the technical analysis, and that is super short-term stuff. At some point, the fundamentals are going to kick in. They can only hold this down for so long, in my opinion.
I got to show you my book, so tell everybody to purchase it. If you don't believe in Bitcoin, I got pills for you guys.
Oh, the Very Good Food Company. That's down over 90%. What was that? 93% you said? Yeah, see, that's gotten taken out, and so have a lot of the other meatless companies. Beyond Meat is at its 52-week low. The Tattooed Chef is at its 52-week low.
I don't see it. What was the name of that?
All the marijuana stocks are down massively.
Toke up, buddy. It went up in smoke, I heard. Well, I'm going to call it.
All right.
I had fun. Hope you guys did too. Sorry it was a bad day, but brighter day on Monday. It's going to be a great weekend, probably, like it always is on Bitcoin.
Yeah. Well, everybody enjoy. I hope you enjoy your weekend, and we'll have a better week in the stock market. Maybe next week. Who knows?
Okay. See you guys.
Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you later.
Bye.